Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Tonight we delve into 3 terrifying tales of ghostly apparitions seen in deserted gyms. So lock your doors, turn off the lights and gather close. Tonight we explore the haunted gyms where the only workout is fear itself. Our first story takes us to an abandoned high school in rural America, once home to the Wildcats basketball team. This school, now a shadow of its former self, was once a bustling hub of activity and youthful energy. Now, only whispers of the Wildcats remain and the echoing silence of a school left to decay. The hallways, once filled with the sounds of students and teachers, now stand eerily quiet, with only the occasional creak of the old building breaking the silence. The old gym, once a cauldron of cheers, now sits cloaked in darkness and dust. The bleachers, which once held cheering fans, are now covered in a thick layer of grime, and the basketball court, once polished to a shine, is now cracked and faded. One night, a group of teenagers decided to explore the abandoned school. They had heard the stories, the legends that surrounded this place, and their curiosity got the better of them. They'd heard the local legends of the Wildcat star player, Ricky S., who tragically died in a car accident his senior year. Ricky was a legend in his own right, known for his incredible skills on the court and his charismatic personality off it. Sneaking through a broken window, the teenagers made their way to the gym, its doors locked. The air was thick with anticipation and a hint of fear as they navigated the dark corridors. Picking the lock, they slowly opened the heavy doors, a feeling of dread washing over them. The creak of the door echoed through the empty gym, amplifying their unease. The gym was dark, illuminated only by slivers of moonlight. The pale light cast eerie shadows on the walls, making the place feel even more haunted. As they ventured further, they noticed a single basketball in the center of the court. It seemed out of place, almost as if it was waiting for someone. One of the teenagers picked up the basketball. The moment his fingers touched it, a chill ran down his spine. As soon as his fingers touched it, the lights flickered on, bathing the court in a sickly yellow glow. The sudden brightness was both startling and unsettling. The teenagers stood frozen, their eyes wide with fear. They could feel an otherworldly presence in the room, something they couldn't quite explain. At the far end of the court stood the translucent figure of a young man in a Wildcats uniform. His presence was both ethereal and haunting. One of the teenagers, Jessica, gasped. She had heard the stories, but seeing the ghostly figure in person was something entirely different. The ghostly figure turned his head towards the sound, his eyes locking onto hers. There was a moment of recognition, a connection that sent chills down her spine. Jessica knew she was looking at Ricky S., the legend, the star player, now a ghostly apparition. The ghostly figure dribbled the ball, the sound echoing unnaturally loud. It was as if the gym itself was amplifying the sound, making it resonate through the entire building. He shot the ball towards the basket, the ball going through the net with a satisfying swish. The sound was almost comforting, a reminder of the life that once filled this place. The sound echoed through the empty gym, sending shivers down the teenagers' spines. It was a sound that seemed to come from another time, another world. For what felt like an eternity, the ghostly figure stood there, staring at the teenagers. His eyes seemed to bore into their souls, as if he was trying to communicate something. Then, as quickly as he appeared, he vanished, the ball dropping to the floor with a dull thud. The sudden silence was deafening. The lights flickered once more and then died, plunging the gym back into darkness. The teenagers were left standing in the pitch black, their hearts pounding in their chests. The teenagers, paralyzed with fear, stood there for a moment. They could hardly believe what they had just witnessed. Then they all ran, their screams echoing through the empty halls. The fear drove them forward, their only thought to get as far away as possible. They didn't stop running until they were safe in the warm glow of the streetlights. The familiar light was a stark contrast to the darkness they had just escaped, far away from the horrors they had witnessed. They stood there, catching their breath, trying to make sense of what had just happened. The legend of Ricky S. lives on, a ghostly reminder of a time long past. His story and the haunting experience of those teenagers would be told and retold, becoming part of the fabric of local lore. Our next story takes us to a bustling 24-hour gym in the heart of the city, a place where the lights never dim and the energy never fades. This gym, a popular destination for fitness enthusiasts, held a darkness that lingered after hours, a stark contrast to its daytime vibrancy. It was in the locker room where the veil between the physical and the spectral seemed thinnest, where the air felt heavier and the shadows seemed to move with a life of their own. Our story centers around the night janitor, Michael, who preferred the quiet solitude of the night shift, finding peace in the stillness that the darkness brought. Night after night, Michael went about his routine, mopping floors and wiping down benches, oblivious to the strange occurrences plaguing the gym, or so he thought. At first, it was just fleeting glimpses, shadows moving out of the corner of his eye, barely noticeable but enough to make him pause. He dismissed them as tricks of the light, a product of his tired mind playing games with him. But as the weeks turned into months, these occurrences became more frequent, more pronounced, and harder to ignore. One night, as Michael was cleaning the men's locker room, he heard a noise, a sound that sent a chill down his spine. It was a soft, rustling sound coming from the back of the locker room near the showers, a place that always seemed colder than the rest of the gym. Michael stopped what he was doing and listened, his heart beating faster with each passing second. The rustling sound continued, followed by a soft humming, a melody that was both familiar and unsettling. Michael cautiously made his way towards the sound, his heart pounding in his chest, each step echoing in the empty room. As he got closer, he realized the humming was actually a tuneless whistling, a sound that seemed to come from another time. Michael peered around the corner, his grip tightening on the mop handle, his breath catching in his throat. Standing in front of the mirror was a young boy, no older than 10, his presence both unexpected and unnerving. The boy's back was to Michael, but Michael could see his reflection in the mirror, a reflection that seemed out of place and time. The boy's eyes were empty sockets, devoid of life, a sight that made Michael's blood run cold. Michael dropped his mop, the sound echoing through the empty locker room, a stark contrast to the eerie silence that followed. The boy stopped combing his hair and slowly turned around, his lifeless eyes locking onto Michael's, a gaze that seemed to pierce through his very soul. Chapter 3. The Spectral Coach. Our final story takes us back in time to a small town where the local college basketball team was the pride of the community. The team was more than just a group of players, it was a symbol of hope and unity for the townspeople. At the heart of their success was Coach William "Iron Will" Thompson, a man whose dedication to the sport was unparalleled. He pushed his players to their limits, demanding nothing less than their absolute best. His training sessions were grueling, but they forged a team that was nearly unbeatable. Under his leadership, the team achieved unprecedented success, winning multiple championships and bringing glory to the small town. One cold winter night, after leading his team to yet another victory, Coach Thompson suffered a massive heart attack and died. The news of his sudden passing sent shockwaves through the community. The town mourned the loss of their beloved coach. His funeral was attended by hundreds, all paying their respects to the man who had given so much to the community. Years passed and the gym fell into disrepair. The once vibrant hub of activity became a shadow of its former self. The college decided to shut down the gym, its future uncertain. The decision was met with sadness, but there were no funds to restore it. Yet whispers began to circulate amongst the remaining staff of strange occurrences. Stories of unexplained phenomena started to emerge. Janitors working late at night reported hearing the distinct sound of a basketball bouncing. It was as if the spirit of the game still lingered in the old gym. Others claimed to see a shadowy figure pacing the sidelines of the court, a ghostly presence that seemed to be watching over the gym. The stories reached the ears of a young security guard, a skeptic by nature. He dismissed the tales as mere superstition. One night, armed with nothing but a flashlight, the security guard decided to investigate. He was determined to prove that there was nothing to fear. As he made his way through the darkened corridors, a sense of unease washed over him. The silence was oppressive, broken only by the sound of his own footsteps. He reached the gym doors and pushed them open. The creaking of the doors echoed through the empty space. The gym was shrouded in darkness, illuminated only by a sliver of moonlight. The familiar court now seemed alien and foreboding. At the center of the court, a single spotlight shone brightly, illuminating a lone figure. It was unmistakably Coach Thompson, his presence as commanding in death as it had been in life. The security guard, paralyzed with fear, watched as the spectral coach began to run drills. The ghost moved with the same intensity and precision that had once driven his team to greatness. Suddenly, the ghostly coach stopped and turned towards the security guard. His eyes seemed to pierce through the darkness, locking onto the guard. The security guard felt a chill run down his spine as the temperature in the gym plummeted. His breath became visible in the cold air. The ghostly coach took a step towards him, his lips moving, but no words came out. It was as if he was trying to communicate something important. The security guard turned and ran, his fear lending speed to his steps. He didn't stop until he was safely outside, the ghostly figure of Coach Thompson still etched in his mind. Thank you for joining me tonight, my friends, as we explored the chilling tales of ghostly apparitions in deserted gyms. Remember, the next time you find yourself working out late at night, be aware of your surroundings. If you enjoyed tonight's stories, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more terrifying tales. Until next time, my friends, sleep well if you can.